Krishnadasa. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nami. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharini Vishesha Srinivadi Pashyati Deshakari. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna everyone. So today we are going to look at the summary of the chapter 15 of Srimad Bhagavad Gita, the Yoga of the Supreme Person. So in the chapter 15, there is a mention of the tree of this material world, which is but a reflection of the real tree, the spiritual world. Just as a tree's reflection is situated on water, the material reflection of the spiritual world is situated on desire, and no one knows where it begins or ends. This reflected tree is nourished by the three modes of material nature. Its leaves are the Vedic hymns, its twigs are the objects of the senses. One who wants to disentangle himself from this tree must cut it down with the weapon of detachment and seek the shelter of the Supreme Lord. Those who are free from false prestige, illusion, and false association, who understand the eternal, who are done with material lust, who are freed from the dualities of happiness and distress, and who, unbewildered, know how to surrender unto the Supreme Person, attain to that eternal kingdom. The living entity struggles hard in the conditioned life, birth after birth, under the spell of the modes of nature. The foolish thinks he is enjoying, but the endeavoring transcendentalist, who are situated in self-realization, can see all this clearly. Lord Krishna is the splendor of the sun, the moon, and fire. Lord Krishna enters into each planet, and by his energy they stay in orbit. He becomes the moon and thereby supplies the juice of life to all vegetables. Lord Krishna is the fire of digestion in the bodies of all living entities, and he joins with the air of life, outgoing and incoming, to digest the four kinds of foodstuffs. Sarvasya chaham vidisa nivishto matta svitir jnanam apohanam cha vedaisya sarve ahameva vedyo vedanta krit veda videva chaham. I am seated in everyone's heart, and from me come remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. By all the Vedas I am to be known. Indeed, I am the compiler of Vedanta, and I am knower of the Vedas. This is chapter 15, text 15. Everyone in this world is fireable, but in the spiritual world, everyone is inferior. And beyond all others is the Supreme Person, Lord Krishna. Thus, the most confidential part of the Vedic scriptures is disclosed by Lord Krishna. Whoever understands this will become wise, and his endeavors will know perfection. So this is the chapter 15. Any comments?
Thank you, Gaurav. Yes, a very good summary. The whole chapter. As you already explained, actually, there's four critical themes in this chapter. One is how Krishna describes how this material world is a perverted reflection of the spiritual world, upside down tree. And then he gives us a glimpse into his world, right, which is not illumined by the sun or the moon. So he describes, in this chapter, he describes the material world, which is a perverted reflection. He describes briefly the spiritual world. He also describes how he maintains us at every level, right? Even the air we breathe comes from him. You know, even the air that's circulating in our body. Yeah, he's allowing, he's the one who, when we go to sleep, who does the digesting of the food? It's Krishna, through the life airs that he provides us. He's the fire of digestion. So he's showing he provides the juice of life to all the fruits and vegetables through the moon. So he's maintaining us at every single level, you know. So that's why one of the things we have to be is grateful. Even if, you know, we don't have much or anything, we still have this body, we still have life, and have to be thankful to him. And then finally, he describes the different living entities, how he's the Purushottam. He talks about himself in the third person. Oh yes, and this is a really nice one. From him comes remembrance, knowledge, and forget. And sometimes you think, how did I forget this? What made me do that? But actually, Krishna, he's in our heart. He can make us forget as well. So, and often we think, how can I make such a stupid mistake? Well, sometimes it's just inspired by the divine. And it also describes the fallen souls and the infallible souls. Those who live in the spiritual world, infallible. Those who are in the material world, fallible. So in one sense, that condemns us. That are we eternally going to be living in this material world? So Prabhupada somewhere explains that when it says we're eternally condemned, it's just because we've been here a long time. It's not that we are eternally condemned. It's just that we've been here a very long time. And the opportunity is always there to regain our original constitutional position in the spiritual world. So thank you, Karuna. Really good, good summary. Anybody like to ask or anything they'd like to share?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, anyone?
Yes, one thing is that what does the word fallible mean and infallible? Fallible means, does it mean that we are prone, being in the material world, to the four mistakes that
Yeah.
Yeah?
Good, very good explanation. Yes.
Yeah, and yeah, sorry.
No, that's right. You're absolutely right. The four defects.
Four defects, yes.
Material life. Yeah, we are subject to that.
Yeah. It
And
is.
go on.
Four defects are propensity to cheat.
Yeah.
We are under the illusion of Maya.
Yeah.
We are, is it forgetfulness? Not forgetfulness, no. Propensity to cheat, the illusion of the Maya. We all lie. And there's fourth one as well.
One, yeah.
Yeah. We all lie.
Mistakes, commit
mistakes. We all make mistakes, yeah.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Ratanji.
I just wanted to add, my mom has been diagnosed with Alzheimer's, and whenever I say anything like this to anyone, they say, oh my goodness, you know, poor mom. But actually, I just see it, don't know how things will be in the future, but at the moment, she's in such a beautiful place. She doesn't think badly of anybody. She doesn't say, oh, you didn't ring me, you know, it's been a week, you haven't called me. It's nothing about herself. She's just happy, lives in the moment. And when I read chapter 15 and it says, I'm also the forgetfulness. And that my husband's always saying, he's always worried about me going in the same direction as my mom. And I said, well, you know, just put me in a home. Don't worry about me, because I won't be worrying about me. And I see such a lovely side to my mom. I mean, my mom, we always say she's a bit of a sthita prajna anyway, but she doesn't say anything bad about anyone. So when people get really worried that, oh my God, you know, losing their memory. Yes, I understand we have to be careful that she doesn't leave the, you know, the cooker on or this or that, or there has to be someone to take care. But for that person, I think I think they're blessed, actually, you know, and when you see that, that's Krishna's choice to be in you and say, look, you know what, forget about everything, just live in the moment. And I see it very positively. I don't know what
that's
anyone
really
else thinks.
incredible. That's a really amazing thing that you've shared, actually.
And I tell my sisters, I said, don't, and my mother-in-law's going through the same thing. And I go around there and she will just always bless me. I just take her a few chocolates and what have you. And she'll say, you know what, I hope you have a lovely, I hope when you're my age, she's 95. I don't think I'll
Oh
be
my
there.
Lord.
But she says things like, when you're my age, I hope that you have a lovely nurse taking care of you. And, you know, I'm really happy with my life. And then she'll forget that she's asked me about my mom 6 times. It doesn't matter. But she's in such a lovely place. And I see both my mums in a really nice place. Everyone else worries, but for themselves, they're in a beautiful place.
Mm.
And she loved my father-in-law so much. He died 4 years ago. And if she hadn't lost her memory, if she doesn't lose her memory too much, I mean, she would just be crying for him all the time. She was but she forgets. And then after a day or so, she'll say, oh yes, your papa was such a lovely man, you know. But then she's in her own little world. So I think we're protected, really. So just my observation from my 2 mothers.
Yeah, interesting. Does she remember the Lord at all? When you go, presumably you.
Oh, my mom prays my mother-in-law. Yes, come Christmas. She's Christian. I have a stepmother-in-law. She's Christian. So she has the Lord and her cross with her and what have you, and she has a rosary. And my mom does her Mataji Puja every morning. She remembers all her prayers and she sits there for 2 hours, lovely in her own little world, and does her bit. And I think she'll go to the right place. I don't think she'll come back. You know, I really feel when we see her, everyone falls in love with this soul. She smiles at everyone. She always wants to feed everybody. And she's just in a good place. So her having lost her memory, we're all here to take care of her. I mean, I'll be retiring soon. So if she, you know, she's between us 3 sisters. I'm happy to devote my life to my mother. So I don't think she has anything to worry about herself. But anyway, I just wanted to share that bit from the Bhagavad Gita with everyone to say, don't panic too much. You know, if somebody's losing their memory, be helpful and be kind to them. Don't keep telling them, oh, well, I did tell you, you know, you've forgotten again. But that's the Lord.
Some of the great acharyas in the past, you could almost, you know, some people could almost say they're suffering from some ailment or something, you know, mental ailment. But actually, they were some of the greatest acharyas were like
there's the
Krishna, you know. So
and our what was his name? The acharya from the Neasden temple who passed away. And for his last 4 years, he was Pramukh Swami. And for the past 4 years before he died, he had Alzheimer's, and they said he was like a 4-year-old child. But he was just always lovely and just was very childlike anyway. But his last 4 years, you know, he was in his own little world, and people did things for him, and he left the world without having to make any decisions, negative decisions about the temple, nothing. So I see it quite positively. So,
we have a relative who's very young actually, and like 50 something, 55 maybe, and she's got Alzheimer's. And when you're that age, that's quite challenging, because you know, you still got quite a long way yet to go.
Yeah, I guess so.
And
the families definitely for the families taking care, but for that person, I think they live in their own little world.
They do, yeah, they do.
You know, for themselves. I mean, we feel sorry for them, but you have to feel a little bit sorry for the people who are taking care of them. But for themselves, I think they just don't have to worry about anything.
Maybe. I mean, every situation is a little different. But yeah, this is the material body, you know. Whatever we do, we can't difficulties will always come. And this is what we were discussing yesterday. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada, he was saying, you know, this material world is full of miseries, full of problems. And the thing is, if we focus on the holy names, especially this Maha Mantra, then actually that is our treasure. You know, no matter what other problems there are, if we just focus on the holy name, we've got the greatest treasure. So we may lose our health at some point, or whatever else, you know, wealth, family, whatever else will go, but just hold on tight to the holy names. Yeah.
Sure.
Thank you for sharing that. Anybody else? Anything else? Surinder, anything you'd like to share?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Nitai Gaur Haribol, Sri Nityananda Chandram, Patita Sharanadam, Gauradam Tam Bhajeham. Yes, Prabhu, very interesting. Especially the song which Karuna Bhakti sang, and Sunil Ramai Prabhu read the translation. So when I was listening to it, it reminded me one of my life experience, because one time at work, my manager requested me to escort one of a patient from Queen's Hospital to, I think, one of the central London hospital, either Bath or Royal London. That patient had kidney failure. So I had to take this patient to the central London hospital and to see a nephrologist, like who would advise the patient regarding consideration of kidney transplant, to discuss whether he's suitable or not suitable for that. So when we went there, I was there with the patient, and the nephrologist, the consultant, is having a chat with the patient. So he was advising the patient, like, look, advise you not to go for the surgery because it's very risky. At this age, it is very risky. So I advise you, like, please follow this advice. Like, live every day of your life as if it was the last day of your life, and make the most. And of course, the consultant was not Krishna conscious person. He was telling it in a very materialistic way, like to go and eat and drink and party and marry. That mood he expressed. I was surprised. The patient was religious. Of course, he was a Catholic background, religious person, and he immediately replied, yes, I have to thank the Lord every day. Yeah, so anyhow, the consultant's instruction, if applied in Krishna consciousness, like we are advised to live every day of our life as if it was the last day of our life, and we should make the most in Krishna consciousness. Yes, Nitai Gaur Haribol Prabhu, thank you very much.
Nice, nice point. Especially when we're chanting, if we're thinking, these are the last rounds I will ever chant before the Lord, then how will we chant? How will we chant our rounds? Huh? Much more focused, much more better than the way we chant. The reason we slack off is we're thinking, hey, we got a lot of time, no worries, plenty of time yet. I'll, as the song says, as the bhajan said, you know, I'll leave it till the end, you know, I'll focus right at the end, I'll be fine. But we don't know when the end is. So, very nice point. Thank you, Surendra. All right.
Just one thing. I was listening to a lecture yesterday, and that the devotee also said that we all have dementia in a sense, because we have forgotten Krishna. So, you know, it's not as if only these some people have it, but we all have it, really.
That's an excellent point, Mataji. We all have dementia.
We got a pill.
Excellent. Wow.
The pill is
Never
the Maha
thought about it.
The pill is the Maha Mantra.
Okay.
Yeah, never thought about it. Yeah.
Yes, with regard to dementia, Prabhu, if I can share something.
Yes, of course.
You see, this is the Kali Yuga we are living in, yes. So the effect of Kali Yuga is that we lose our physical strength, our memory strength is going, that is dementia is happening to most of us. And our lifespan is short and we are always disturbed. These are a few characteristics of the effect of Kali Yuga. And the Kali Yuga, it resides in 5 places, isn't it? Where there is meat eating or butcher shop, etc. Meat eating, intoxication, gambling, and illicit sex life. So the Kali Yuga resides in these 4 places, and hoarding gold. That place, the 5th one, yeah?
Yes.
By hoarding gold means we become wealthy, and it is easily available. The other 4 sinful activities, like people who become extremely wealthy, they indulge more in meat eating, more in intoxication, more in gambling, and more facility for illicit sex relations, etc.
Yeah.
But if we examine, like, because I've got nursing background, a bit of knowledge in health, we can see that all these effect of Kali Yuga means, like, we become physically weak, memory becomes poor, and lifespans is short. Is all these 4 sinful activities, it reduces our lifespans, it reduces our memory, and it reduces our physical strength. An example I can give, say, by meat eating, especially in the Western, they eat these cow's meat, beef, etc., isn't it? There is one popular disease which is called mad cow disease. And when it gets transmitted into human beings, it is called bovine spongiform encephalopathy. The same disease, the mad cow disease. When human beings get it by eating those infected cattle, they get it. What happens is that brain becomes spongy because of this prion, the microorganism. It makes the brain spongy, and hence they lose memory. Memory power goes. So those who are eating meat, especially eating cow's meat, cattle, etc., they're prone to get this. And it had been there has been a breakout of this mad cow disease, God knows since when, and how many people got, thousands of people might have got infected, and which is unknown because there is no survey being carried out who got infected, who didn't get infected. And those got infected, of course, they get memory power loss, like because of the BSC condition, the memory gets lost. Similarly with intoxication, those who drink alcohol and become intoxicated with alcohol, they get a condition called delirium tremens. It affects the brain, and because of delirium, they become delirious. Therefore, the memory is lost. The intelligence is also not functioning properly, not only memory, but intelligence as well. They become sort of delirious, and they get tremens, means tremors, etc. And ultimately, their lifespan shortens because they end up, most of them end up having cirrhosis of liver, whereby if it's not treated, then they die very quickly at a young age. And then with gambling, also gambling leads to psychiatric illness. Some people become compulsive gambler. By compulsive gambler, they become, and therefore they lose all their salary into this gambling act, wishing that they will become multimillionaire someday. And this delusion is so strong that they become addicted. They become a compulsive gambler. So it's not ordinary gambler. He becomes a compulsive gambler. In Chaitanya Bhagavad, there is one devotee. He's praying to Gauranga Mahaprabhu. He said, when I'll meet Gauranga Mahaprabhu, I'll clasp his feet and beg him his mercy, a boon for my son, because my son has become a compulsive gambler. I will request and pray to Gauranga Mahaprabhu to free him from this disease of compulsive gambler. So once this becomes compulsive gambler, it follows a series of other complications because they keep on losing all money, all wealth, everything. And because they don't have proper wealth to maintain family, so they have a broken family, they become depressed, and again, psychiatric illness, etc. It's a vicious circle, whereby, of course, the memory will be lost. So in the same way, this compulsive gambling, This is also contributes to memory loss, very short lifespan, etc. So the fourth one, like this illicit sex relationships. With having illicit sex, people often catches a disease called syphilis. It's a sexually transmitted disease. So once people may not be very common nowadays, but at some point it was very popular, like people get syphilis or gonorrhea, or there are hundreds of sexually transmitted diseases. Nowadays, most modern one is HIV, the human immunodeficiency virus, which we call AIDS. Now what happens is that this also, like those who get AIDS, their lifespan is short. They die quickly before, what would be their lifespan if they didn't have AIDS. They would have lived further. And also, like with syphilis, people who get syphilis, they are more prone to get cerebrovascular accident, which means stroke. So once somebody gets a stroke, it affects their memory again. Memory is so all these sinful activities. The four main sinful activities, as I explain you with some examples with the effect on health and how it relates to the fact that these places of Kali Yuga, meat eating, intoxication, gambling, illicit sex, they all contribute towards all these problems, memory loss, Alzheimer's, etc. There are many varieties of memory loss, not only Alzheimer's. There is vascular dementia, there is Pachy-Lewy dementia, body dementia. There are different types of dementia. Anyhow, so all these examples I'm saying, if people will follow the four regulative principles, no meat eating, no intoxication, no gambling, no illicit sex, many of these diseases, especially the Alzheimer's, etc., including Alzheimer's, will reduce, we can avoid it. By grace of Guru. And on top of that, practicing Krishna consciousness, then we lead a healthy and Krishna conscious life, lead a holy life. That is the best way. Hare Krishna. And because people are hoarding gold, with the transaction of gold, they become very rich, and therefore they abuse more in meat eating, intoxication, gambling, illicit sex. So this also should be avoided. Hare Krishna, Dandavat, Nitai Gaur Haribo.
Thank you for sharing. Very good. Very interesting. Thank you very much. Excellent. Okay, so shall we do another chapter, Karuna? What do you think?
Do you say, Prabhu?
Oh, anybody, any more comments on chapter 15? Only 20 verses. So again, one of the smallest chapters, just like chapter 12. But the verses in this chapter are a little longer, some of them. So a little harder. But just like chapter 12, such a incredibly powerful chapter. In fact, every single chapter is just incredible.
It's nearly 4:10, Prabhuji, so
Sorry?
Impossible.
Yeah, so we can call it, we can
Stop.
stop now, yeah. Okay, really good, good discussion today.
we don't want to rush through the chapter 16 and then
Oh yes,
especially
especially 16.
these are very good summaries that Mataji is writing up and discussing, so we need to dwell on it.
Good, thank you. Yeah, very, very good point. Thank you.
Sitaram here.
Hare Krishna, Sitaram Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu. I want to say something about this Prabhu who has said. The most thing we have to do, follow the four regulatory principles, chant the holy names, and consume prasad, and read our spiritual Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, so and so. It's finished, Prabhu. There is nothing to happen. And our karma is there. It's up to Lord Krishna. He will after us. Very well.
Good, thank you. Thank you. Yes, very good. Very good. Okay.
Prabhu, I wanted to ask, what about some people, the abuses that's happening all over the world, especially in India? They abuse young girls and all that. They don't suffer. It's the people who get abused that suffer. So what happens to them? And some of them, they are evil-minded. They just want to destroy other people's lives. And
Yeah. I mean, abuse of children is probably the most heinous crime. The most heinous crime. Children should be loved, should be looked after. And especially when the guardians abuse the children. It's
because no, sometimes, you know, the victims, they are the one who suffer.
Oh yeah.
The person who committed the sinful act, they don't suffer sometimes. You know, this is what I don't understand.
Oh yes, this is see, one argument. I know this is quite a sensitive subject. I mean, devotees should know, in ISKCON, there's been quite a lot of child abuse perpetrated by some of the highest ranking people in the organization. And some of the arguments put forward, oh, it's their karma that they're suffering.
That's the victims.
The victim's karma. But I don't accept that. Yes, it might be their karma. But hey, who the hell are you to say that? The thing is, when child is abused, that the person who's doing the abuse should be outed, should be reported to the police. They should be taken to the highest floor of the highest building in the world and thrown off it. My personal opinion. But what happens often is they are hidden. People protect them, the child abusers. And it's apparently they get away with it. But they'll never get away with it because Krishna knows what's going on. So that karma will hit them hard. Because it's not hit them in this life, it's going to hit them in the next life. And maybe a few lives. So we shouldn't think that they will get away with it scot-free. But at the same time, you are absolutely right. There is such a big cover-up. And it really, really shakes me up, I have to say. I get very, very upset because we're supposed to protect the children, especially when they're under our care, not abuse them. That really is bad. And as you said, who suffers? It's the child, not just suffering whatever happened, but for years and years and years and years, they suffer. Never goes away. It's like a nightmare which never ends. And if you ever come across anybody, any child who's being abused, speak out, speak up, defend those who are defenseless. It really is appalling. Travesty of justice. But ultimately there will be justice because Krishna will take care of it. But that shouldn't be our excuse of sitting back and doing absolutely nothing. We have to protest, have to speak up. It really is.
Also sorry.
No, go on, Nanina.
Yeah. Also the abuser is somebody who is known to the family. And most of the time, that's what it is. Yeah. And this is what prevents the abuser from telling everybody, because it starts quite young, and then they are threatened and they are maltreated, and they are threatened so much that they've put fear in their heart. So they're not able to tell anybody. I know my friend who is a doctor, her daughter, she was abused by somebody known in the family for a few years before she even spoke up.
Wow.
So it is so sad. And other thing is that, yes, Krishna will punish them, but by that time, there are so many years have passed and so much damage would be done to the psyche of that abused person. So this is what I find strange. I know Krishna is there for the answer and it repays of her own karma. But sometimes at that time you think twice that what the hell is happening? Where is Krishna? Because we can't understand how the karma works, isn't it?
Yeah. No, he
But
will
then-
definitely. You're right. You're right. It's tough to understand it sometimes. I know even in ISKCON, there's some gurus who've abused the child long time. They're still protected. They're still acting as gurus. And you think, this is a spiritual movement. What sort of spiritual movement? Where you were protecting the abuser of children, for crying out loud? Children? Not good enough.
Well, it's an irony, isn't it? If we say that, oh, there's some hierarchy does what they do, and they knowingly that Krishna is watching, and yet they perform that. So it just makes you wonder what the preaching would affect the ones who are following. So it makes me wonder sometimes, these fallen gurus who are still being covered up and all that. It's making mockery of Prabhupada's mission. And my heart cries, to say the least, because Prabhupada established such a wonderful program for everybody can live peacefully. But it's some, I shouldn't say it, but some idiots who, for their name, fame, and glory, abuse the system, and they get away with it. And yes, I agree totally with you. I get really angry about it.
47784.
And
47784.
Yeah, no, it's what can you do?
Hare Krishna, Dhanavad. Can I share something, Prabhu?
Yes, of course.
Yeah, Nitai Gaura Haribol. So this comes under that topic of lust. Krishna describes in Bhagavad Gita, lust is a all-devouring enemy of this jiva soul, birth after birth. So, and Krishna describes in detail what happens: lust, then after that anger, bewilderment of memory, etc. Like that. It comes attachment, then lust, anger, bewilderment, and once fall down in the ocean of material existence. Like, yeah. So all these abuse, whether it is women being raped in India by group rape or individual rape, or is it like pedophile, like children are being abused, or any of these different examples of sexual abuse things, they all come under the heading of psychiatric illness. It's
Right.
yeah, it's all psychiatric illness. Oh, what happened? This. Oh, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
My screen disappeared. 1 minute. So it comes under the heading of psychiatric illness, and this psychiatric illness is called psychosexual disorder. Under the psychosexual disorder in psychiatry, there are different types of levels of diseases. Just like somebody can be sadism. Sadism means he inflicts pain and gets some sexual to others and gets a sexual pleasure in return. That's sadism. And there is masochism. Masochism means he inflicts pain in himself and gets sexual pleasure, like that. And then there is voyeurism. They become a peeping Tom. And also there is transvestism, that they will dress, a man will dress with the underwears of women and feel sexual pleasure. And also there is bestialism. They have sex with animals. So it is not right to say that we should kill them all. They need psychiatric treatment, to be honest. And the best way is there is no such a specific psychiatric treatment to cure such diseases. It is so much into their mental system that it is with psychiatric, they will give tranquilizers, etc. And there is no proper treatment. Whereas the best way is a Krishna conscious approach. Cheto darpana marjanam bhava mahadavagni nirvapanam, like that. You're chanting Hare Krishna, and then we cleanse the mirror of the mind. This is the best approach. But like Krishna explains, this there are 3 different degrees of lust. One is like a dust on the mirror. So it can be by chanting Hare Krishna, it can be cured, this level of preliminary, this lust-related psychiatric problems, psychosexual diseases. If it is just minimal beginning stage, like compared to dust on a mirror, by chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra and devotional practices, it can be wiped and cleaned. And the other one is like a fire covered with smoke. It's a bit further advanced psychiatric illness, whereby it's a bit difficult. And the third one, which is an helpless condition, is like the embryo in a womb. It's difficult like that. It's the special mercy of Nityananda Prabhu, like that. So we can, of course, if somebody identifies such people are having any of these psychiatric illness, whether it is bestialism or masochism or sadism or voyeurism or transvestism or any psychiatric illness or a pedophile, etc., then of course they need some guidance, and the victims should be protected in any organization. But by Krishna's grace, however, we can say that if they are already in Krishna consciousness, we may not criticize them, because in attempting to practice our Krishna consciousness, most of us are still having anarthas. Some of us have this weakness of overeating. Some of us, we sleep a lot. And some of us may be freely mixing with women a lot and all that. But these people, however, they are trying to practice Krishna consciousness, and they have their own anarthas. It is not for us to whip others and find fault with others. Our religion is to find fault with ourselves to begin with. We should try to practice Krishna consciousness to purify ourselves by chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra, Sadhu Sangha, and Vaishnava Seva. Whereas, and if we try to find fault with other devotees, say bad habits or anarthas, then it is like compared to like holes in a cup. And we are doing chanting Hare Krishna, reading Bhagavatam, etc. All these sukriti we are getting, spiritual benefits, it will all drain through the holes in the cup, just like in a cup, if you pour milk or water, it will drain away. So it is not to whip other devotees. Of course, if we can give good advice to other devotees by Krishna Katha is good. However, we should avoid being fault-finding, and we should still respect those. One time, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, one disciple, he stole prasadam, and the authority, they throw him out. And Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati said, no, get him back. You know, like that. Anyhow, Dandavat Prabhu, Nitai Gaur Hari Bol.
Thank you. I agree with some of your sentiments. The only thing is the abuse of children is at such a level that it's beyond any reasonable behavior. See, if somebody wants to enjoy with a child, you're right, there's something mentally not correct, and that person needs assistance. How would Prabhupada deal with that? Yes, he should be helped, but he shouldn't be put in a position of responsibility. This is the point, Prabhu.
Yeah, I agree with you. This much, because even in Christian organization, in the Catholic organization, some of these high authorities, forgotten the terms they use, there are high authorities in the Christian church, and they have been found to be involved in these pedophile things. But then they need some help, some psychiatric assistance and some further help, and they should not be in an environment, put in an environment where they have access to deal with children and do more abuse. Yeah. They should be given support and guidance and some kind of treatment for their psychiatric illness. Yeah. Hare Krishna, Nitai Gaur. Thank you.
And it's a very good point that we should not be pointing fingers. No, nobody should be pointing fingers.
Yeah, but we are not perfect anyway.
No, But
Yeah.
we should, if we see or observe some abuse to children,
It should
I
be
would say,
reported to authority. Yeah.
to the police. Nobody else.
police as
Just
well,
call
yeah.
999 straight
Yeah.
away.
Yes,
999.
yes.
Children, my goodness, why you mess about with children? They're our future.
Yeah. And in Christianity, where we are called the cardinals. They were the cardinals who are involved in such things. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyhow,
Thank you.
mercy of Guru and Guru. Nitai Guru.
Wish how we got onto that subject, but it's an emotive subject, that one. All right. Thank you. Anybody else? Okay, we can stop there. Bhagavad Gita ki jai.